Today we're looking at the lore of Pax Dei. The devs put together this information on their Discord based off of the questions they had in their AMA. So let's go ahead and go over what they're saying. It says, lore is a vast subject, and we thank you all for your questions on the lore of Pax Dei. Below are some answers to various lore-related topics. And if you didn't know, this is me speaking that Pax Dei means peace of God in Latin. So peace as in P-E-A-C-E, and then of God. So when the transgressions of man against the divine seem to have become irreversible, and evil has managed to consume and corrupt every living being, she creates a new slab of earth on top of the old one, burying everyone and everything, and creating a new iteration of her beloved, but sometimes neglected creation. As far as we are concerned, this has happened 9 times, creating in the process 9 circles of hell. Evil, however, does persist, despite the divine's efforts to bury it. Each time a new creation has been added, banished outcasts from heaven and earth add to the ever-growing hordes of evil that govern the disk of the underworld. There, the history is unbroken, the hatred is ever-growing, and the power of anger is unrelenting and fresh. And this is a quote from Firebrand, Silas of Anatolia. The next part talks about Pax Dei and verisimilitude. It says, is you is or is you ain't of this world. Pax Dei is not of our world. It is not a copy of medieval Europe, neither geographically nor when it comes to countries and locations. It is one of the endless possible and parallel creations in a universe ruled by the divinity the medieval mind believed was real. A world that is pressured from all sides by the enemies of the divine and contains all sorts of beings hiding from the divine, the enemy below, or both. In making the Pax Dei setting and lore, we have created for ourselves a sandbox of sorts. We have gathered the elements and ideas of what people held true about life, the universe, and everything, back in the early Middle Ages, and then we gave it a little shake. This means that a lot of the things you see in this world will definitely ring some bells. You may think you know how things behave or where they are from, and often you will be right, but you will also be wrong a lot of the times. So what we'll see is familiar things. It's like going to like an alternate Earth, an alternate universe, like the multiverse. You'll see things that look familiar but aren't actually based upon what you think they are. The next section talks about inspirations. They'll have inspirations of Pax Dei, inspirations of the world itself, and inspirations of the mythology and fables of the world. Starting with the inspiration of Pax Dei, we wanted to create a world where players could live out their lives in relative safety, build, grow, harvest, take care of their animals, and go on adventures without having to battle other players at every step. We also realized that for the world to be dynamic and survive, there had to be conflict and even war from time to time, with the destruction and violent ambitions that follow. Pax Dei, the peace of the divine, enables this. In a world that is surrounded by evil beings and ambitious people, remaining under the watchful eye of the divine keeps all that strife at bay. So it looks like there's going to be a lot going on. They mentioned this in the overall dev update that they had, the dev diary type video they made, is that we'll be able to do so many things, harvest and grow and take care of animals. This is a sandbox game, so we are definitely going to see some various types of combat. Player versus player, player versus environment, player versus environment. This next lore section is of the world itself. When it comes to the original inspirations for the game, the question that sparked it all, I think, was imagining an early medieval world where, as people believed heavenly forces were real and present, and the legions of darkness were also real and present and actively trying to corrupt the world from outside and within. In addition to that, you had the creatures of ancient myths still around, trying their best not to get squished by the supernatural powers at B. It's kind of like that one show that was on Gods and Monsters, I think. Whether or not people believe in these things still today, the way this was expressed and written about and how these factors govern much of life in medieval times suggests, in many ways, the greatest RPG ever played. Complete with strict character advancement, magical systems, monsters, dark dungeons, funny costumes, heroes and villains, and cloaked preachers with a big staff and pointy hats, claiming to hold the power of miracles. Another interesting aspect of this setting is that, to a varying degree, people know or have heard of various parts of it, both from history and also from contemporary culture, movies, paintings, books, and games. So whatever we would be making in a setting like this would have the advantage of us not having to explain everything ad nauseum down to the smallest detail. It would, as any good setting would do, create a familiar backdrop to whatever adventures are played out in the Pax Dei world. So far, this is kind of sounding like the secret world, but more medieval fantasy-like. Well, Secret World had more of a modern vibe to it. I mean, get down with it. And of course, this is also sandboxy. This is exactly what low fantasy means. We are not inventing anything really or altering the core of human nature. We take the basic concepts, rules, and constraints of things as they were believed to be, and then reorganize the contents to make a living world full of wonder and mysteries. This is, for example, what Game of Thrones did very well, something we all love to watch and learn from. One thing that is important to note here is that even though this setting is far away from us now in time, using elements that relate to this period in our history does require a certain amount of respect. We are, for example, not using anything within the setting of Pax Dei that touches on specific religious deities or entities people still hold dear. It would be very wrong to do so, but all these things are a part of our common intellectual and historical heritage, ours as much as anyone else's. We take it seriously, without prejudice or malice, and with all the respect that it deserves. We want to enjoy it with you all in the best way possible. This next lore section is of fables and myths. In addition to the main scene of divinity, demonology, angelology, and all the rest of it, our common background is full of yet older wondrous tales and fables. Celtic myths, the Kalevala, the dark fables from Rus, Anatolian, and Greek stories from antiquity, the amazing flora of Persian and Indian mythology, and yes, even things further afield. The only thing that connects the world of Pax Dei directly to a location in the real world is that the angle we use from which the world is viewed is somewhere in Europe. This is the last section here. It's about the player community and collecting lore. It says we can probably do it, but you can do it better. As with all content in the game, we want it to be in such a form that the community can coherently collect and present what they want of it onto their own community websites, and lore is no different. I'm sure that there are a lot of potential historians, cartographers, archaeologists, and record keepers out there who are itching to dive in and shine within the Pax Dei community. Some of the information you can get is, of course, character information, and you will need to acquire it in person to benefit from it. But a lot of the information will be player information, things that the player can use when navigating the world and utilizing its contents. And this is a pretty cool stop here. It's like they're not going to really give you everything about the game. A lot of stuff we're going to find out for ourselves as we run through the game. Some of the stuff we'll be able to see in the alpha sign up, so if there's any content creators that get into that do lore videos, they'll definitely have a heads up when it comes to putting out these lore videos and giving everybody the information that they need. This all sounds pretty cool so far though, a multiverse type world, similar to like Games of Thrones, where we have magic and all of these mythological beings and deities going on, and it's all real in the world, but not really pulled from anything. So this is pretty interesting to see in person when we play it. What do you guys think? What do you guys think in the comments? Let me know. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.